Photography. This is lab number 3. In this lab, we're going to be learning how to do workflow sequencing. At the beginning of class, we're going to be taking some bracketed photographs, getting correct exposures, and then we're going to learn how to do workflow from memory card to bridge to Photoshop and some saving procedures. You get 3 extra credit points for taking shallow depth of field shots. Remember, you need a wide open aperture to do this, which is the smallest number in your aperture settings. All right, the very first thing you're going to do is open Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Bridge. All right, then you want to minimize them, so hit the little yellow negative sign there and save them for later. The very next thing we want to do is click on the desktop, and then we want to make some folders. New folder, and then we're going to label this folder number 1, and then your last name. Hit return, new folder, number 2, and then you're going to type 3 best exposures underscore your last name. Hit return. Okay, I already have that. So let's go back over here and pretend like I did that already. All right. Next thing is that we're going to download our images from your camera's memory card to folder number 1. So you're going to grab your camera, and remember, you never want to take your memory card out of your camera while your camera's on. So turn your camera off, take your memory card out, put it in the computer, give it a second. It's going to pop up. All right, double click. Sometimes you got to dig around in there to find your pictures. All right, now you're not going to have this many pictures on yours. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. And you're going to go over to the desktop, and you're going to double click on number 1 Greninger, or number 1 your last name. Open that up, grab your pictures, these 3 I want, and dump them in there, and then I also want these guys. Dump them in there. Okay? Takes a second to copy. You're going to close that, and then you're also going to close number 1 folder, and then you're going to put your memory card back in the trash. As soon as you see it disappear, then you're going to take the memory card back out of the computer and immediately put it back in your camera. It's always a good idea when you're done with the memory card, just put it back in your camera. Don't leave it in the computer because you could forget it. All right, next step. You're going to go ahead and open Bridge. Go down here, and then you're going to see Desktop. Click on it. You're going to see your folder number 1. Double click. Here are your pictures. All right, so this is a really convenient way to transfer your images to Photoshop, and this is sort of a way to review them and rate them before you put them in Photoshop. It's kind of a filtering process, all right? So the next thing we're going to do is you're going to look through your pictures. And to do that, you just click on the picture, and when you guys open Bridge, it's probably going to look like this. So we want this preview shot to be a little bit bigger, so we're going to drag this little bar down so we can see the biggest version of that we can, and if we want, we can even drag this way to see an even bigger version of it. So we're going to look at these pictures, just kind of scroll through all of them, and you're going to choose your 3 best shots. Okay? So say I chose this one. The very next step is you're going to go up to Label, and here you can rate your pictures. You can give it a 1. I wouldn't even bother doing that. You know, you want to rate your top pictures because eventually you're going to want to go in and edit those. So just give the top 3 exposures, not your favorite pictures, but the top 3 best exposures, which means the lighting is correct, and give it a 5-star rating. So I've done that with 3 photos here. Now if you go over to this section here on Filter, you can see these are all different ways you could search for your images and rate them, and then search back in using the filter. So if I rated, if I used this rating method, I would click on ratings, and then if I used a 5-star rating, I could click on the 5-star, and then all of the images that I've rated with 5 stars will pop up. So that's kind of a cool feature in Bridge. So go ahead and do that with 3 of your pictures. All right, and the very next thing you're going to do, and the reason this program is called Bridge is that it's a bridge from your memory card or your camera to Photoshop. So all you have to do is double click on this image, and the first thing that's going to pop up is this white box here. Now, this is sort of a quick way to edit your pictures. Please don't edit your pictures. We're straight shooting. I want to see your straight shots. We're going to learn how to edit in Photoshop later with more advanced tools. So just, I know it's tempting. You want to mess with this, but just let it be. And just click Open Image. Okay, and that's going to go, it's reading its raw format. It's a big file. Go back in, and then I want you to open all 3 images in Photoshop. Open image, that's going to happen every single time. And then the third one, open image. Ugh. I feel like my computer is going to freeze up here. It's thinking. All right, where's this third guy here? Oh, here we go. Just needed to pause for a second. Okay. Now, again, these are raw files. They're huge files here. And this is why sometimes your computer can slow down a little bit. All right, the next thing I want you to notice, and the neat thing about this, is I don't think you should put more than 3 files in Photoshop at once because you could really make your program sluggish or your system sluggish. But I just wanted you to notice that they're all 3 here under these tabs. So you can click on them to check it out. The next thing we're going to do, and one of the last things we're going to do, is we're just going to save these to our desktop. So go up to Save As. Okay, then we're going to label it lab 3, lab number 3, underscore image number 1, underscore your last name. Leave the PSD there. Remember, PSD stands for Photoshop. We're going to save it to the desktop. And then we're going to make sure it says Photoshop here. The reason we want to save it as a Photoshop file, and this is the beauty of it, is that when we go in and we learn how to edit these pictures in Photoshop, we're going to have layers. We're going to have layers over here. If you've worked with Photoshop before, you know what that looks like. When you save it as a Photoshop file, you're saving the layers. And you can, when you open that back up again as a PSD file, all of that information is going to be saved, and you can just pick up right back where you left off when you're editing your stuff. So don't pick any of these things. Don't pick JPEG, nothing else, TIFF, none of that stuff. It's going to be accurate right now. We just want Photoshop. Now, make sure that Embed Color Profile is checked, Adobe RGB 1998. You might recognize this because this is the color space that we set on your camera. We want the color space on your camera to sync up with the color space in Photoshop. Hit Save. Okay, you're going to do this to all 3 files. Click on the second one. Save As, lab number 3, underscore image number 2, underscore Greninger, going to the desktop, it's Photoshop, embed color profile is checked, save, and number 3, save as, lab number 3, underscore image number 3, underscore Greninger, PSD, going to the desktop, Photoshop file, embed color profile, hit save. All right. Awesome. So we don't need Photoshop anymore. Close it down, close Bridge down, and then you're going to open up this guy here. Now, ignore the fact that these are already in here. I'm going to take those out. Stop. Okay, pretend like this is empty. You're going to grab your 3 images, only 3, drag them over here. We're going to replace. Replace, replace. Okay, so and you're just going to have 3 images in here in the end. These are your PSD files, image 1, 2, and 3, your best exposures. Close that down. And then I'm not going to show you this step, but I want you to open Google Drive. Go to week 3. Open up PSDs, that folder that you labeled PSDs, and you're going to dump this entire folder into that folder. Once you've completed this step, you're going to raise your hand, call me over, and I'm going to go and check these images. And what I'm looking for, and we're going to talk through it for a second, but what I'm looking for is that you have labeled your images like this, that they're good exposures, and that also that they're Photoshop PSDs. Okay, and you get, remember, you get 3 extra credit points if you can take really good shallow depth of field shots. Now remember, again, one more time, this is how you create a shallow depth of field shot, is that you have to have your aperture setting wide open, which means the number is the smallest number that you could set your camera at with your aperture settings. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much. Bye.